we have both the captains in the center with the match referee.
Heads is the call, and heads it is. A good toss to win. They need to execute their plans well to make most of the conditions. These are the playing 11 for the respective teams.
Ladies and gents.
A lovely day to play cricket.
In comes the fielding side. They look charged up and ready to go.
In come the openers, greeted with a loud cheer from the crowd.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
इनिंग की पहली गेंद का सामना करते हुए ओहो, उठा के खेल दिया है। खूबसूरत शॉट और ये सीधा बाउंड्री के पार। गेंद की लेंथ का अनुमान तो इन्होंने बहुत ही जल्दी लगा लिया था। बहुत ही खूबसूरत शॉट। फील्डिंग में परिवर्तन। बहुत ही आक्रामक बल्लेबाज हैं ये विश्व क्रिकेट में। लाइन और लेंथ मापने में तो 1 सेकंड नहीं लगाते ये। बहुत ही बढ़िया 6।
क्या बल्लेबाज एक और बाउंड्री का प्रयास करेंगे? देखते हैं।
ये शॉट गया हवा में और गैप में भी गया।
शानदार बल्लेबाजी। बॉलर को इशारा करके बता रहे हैं कि अगली गेंद कहां जाएगी।
ऐसे फॉर्म में खेल रहे हैं यहां, जैसे अंग्रेजी में कहते हैं फॉर्म ऑफ हिज लाइफ। वाह क्या बात है। बहुत ही कॉन्फिडेंट अपील यहां बॉलर की और अंपायर नॉट आउट देते हुए।
कप्तान ने बढ़िया फील्ड लगाई है और गेंदबाज भी फील्ड के अनुसार ही गेंदबाजी कर रहे हैं।
काफी हताश होंगे अपने आप से। सीधा स्लॉट में थी गेंद।
उठा दिया है। 6 रन। जैसे ही बैट पे लगी थी कोई दो राय नहीं था, कोई संदेह नहीं था कि ये 6 रन है। बहुत ही सरल शॉट था ये बल्लेबाज का। गेंद की रफ्तार का पूरा उपयोग करते हुए गेंद को पहुंचा दिया है बाउंड्री लाइन के उस पार।
तेज गेंदबाज को लाया गया है दूसरे छोर से।
बल्लेबाज अपनी पहली गेंद की तैयारी करते हुए।
हवा में खेल दिया है और गैप में भी। 4 रन। बल्लेबाज पूरे नियंत्रण में थे वहां। फील्ड में बदलाव।
ये एक ऐसे बल्लेबाज हैं जो ग्राउंड के किसी भी कोने में मार सकते हैं। चलिए देखते हैं अगली गेंद कहां मारेंगे।
गैप में खेल दिया है। क्या ये 2 रन ले सकते हैं यहां?
मेरा मानना है आउट है। बेहतरीन फील्डिंग का मुजाहरा क्षेत्र रक्षक द्वारा।
बॉलर ने तो बल्लेबाज को वापसी का रास्ता दिखा दिया।
कैच आउट हो जाओ, बोल्ड हो जाओ, लेकिन रन आउट कभी मत होना। अक्सर देखा गया है कि रन आउट मैच की परिस्थिति बदल देती है। बहुत ही बढ़िया शॉट, बहुत ही बड़ा सिक्स। जाने जाते हैं ये बल्लेबाज ऐसे शॉटों के लिए, और जब फॉर्म में हो तो इन्हें रोकना नामुमकिन होता है।
बढ़िया टाइमिंग, खूबसूरती से गैप ढूंढा बैट्समैन ने। ओहो, जब ये मारना शुरू करते हैं इनको रोकना मुश्किल है।
बेबुनियाद शॉट बल्लेबाज द्वारा, ठीक से पढ़ नहीं पाए।
गेंद की दिशा को थोड़ा समझ के खेलना होगा यहां।
बढ़िया शॉट, इसे रोक पाना तो मुश्किल है।
बेहतरीन बल्लेबाजी बल्लेबाज द्वारा।
और ये 6 रन। लगता है धीरे धीरे फॉर्म में आ रहे हैं बल्लेबाज यहां।
बल्लेबाज नई गेंद खेलने के लिए पूरी तरह तैयार।
बहुत ही नजाकत से उठा दिया है वहां। 6 रन।
फील्ड में बदलाव।
बहुत ही बढ़िया टाइमिंग और शॉट सिलेक्शन का प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं यहां, लेकिन थोड़ा संभल के। लय में है, बड़ी पारी खेलने का पूरा मौका है, कहीं उसे गवा ना बैठे।
बल्लेबाज यहां काफी आक्रामक मूड में लग रहे हैं।
बल्लेबाज निश्चित रूप से 2 रन ले सकते हैं।
बहुत ही बढ़िया फील्डिंग। ऐसी फील्डिंग से टीम का आत्मबल बढ़ता रहेगा।
बल्ले का बॉल के साथ अच्छा तालमेल। 6 रन।
बहुत लय में नजर आ रहे हैं। चलिए दोबारा डालिए गेंद।
इस आक्रामक फील्ड के साथ तो बहुत ही सूझबूझ और नियंत्रण के साथ गेंदबाजी करनी होगी यहां।
ये शॉट गया हवा में और गैप में भी गया।
एक बड़ा शॉट तो ओवर का लगा चुके हैं, लेकिन अब उन्हें इस पारी को एक लंबी पारी में तब्दील करने की कोशिश करनी होगी।
पूरी तरह मिस किया वहां।
बॉलिंग में बदलाव। तेज गेंदबाज का आगमन।
बैटिंग पावर प्ले की समाप्ति। फील्डिंग टीम अब 2 से ज्यादा फील्डर दायरे के बाहर रख सकती है।
बॉल हवा से बातें करती हुई सीधा बाउंड्री लाइन के पार। 6 रन।
क्षेत्र रक्षण में तब्दीली।
क्या बल्लेबाज एक और बाउंड्री का प्रयास करेंगे? देखते हैं।
काफी हताश होंगे अपने आप से। सीधा स्लॉट में थी गेंद।
ओ, ऐसा लगता है गेंद को देखा ही नहीं वहां पे। खतरनाक गेंद और सीधा बल्लेबाज के शरीर पे लगी।
कवर पे फील्डर तैनात किए हैं कैप्टन ने।
बड़ा शॉट लगाया, ऊंचा भी था, लंबा भी था, बल्ले का बीचों बीच से था।
बहुत ही बढ़िया तालमेल दोनों बल्लेबाजों के बीच। एक महत्वपूर्ण पारी बैटिंग टीम के लिए।
बहुत लय में नजर आ रहे हैं।
खेल दिया है गैप में और ये 1 रन।
ओह, ये तो बहुत ही क्लोज हो सकता है। बल्लेबाज की पारी यहीं समाप्त हो सकती है।
निराश होकर पेविलियन की तरफ लौटते हुए।
स्पिनर को लाया गया अटैक में। देखते हैं इस पिच से कितना लाभ उठाते हैं।
कैच आउट हो जाओ, बोल्ड हो जाओ, लेकिन रन आउट कभी मत होना। अक्सर देखा गया है कि रन आउट मैच की परिस्थिति बदल देती है।
बल्लेबाज को पता है कि कौन सी गेंद खेलनी है और कौन सी नहीं।
चुरा लिया है 1 रन। बढ़िया रनिंग बिटवीन द विकेट्स।
ये बहुत ही कठिन फील्ड है गेंदबाजी करने के लिए। गेंदबाज को अपनी लाइन और लेंथ बड़ी सटीक रखनी होगी।
बल्लेबाज की आंखें तो चील की आंखों की तरह हो चुकी है। गेंदबाज के हाथ से ही बॉल का लाइन और लेंथ समझ चुके थे वो। बहुत ही प्यारा छक्का। ये एक ऐसे बल्लेबाज हैं जो ग्राउंड के किसी भी कोने में मार सकते हैं। चलिए देखते हैं अगली गेंद कहां मारेंगे।
दाद देनी होगी कीपर की यहाँ पे। तेज स्टंपिंग। बल्लेबाज टाइम में अंदर नहीं आ पाए।
बहुत ही निराश लग रहे हैं।
बल्लेबाज नई गेंद खेलने के लिए पूरी तरह तैयार।
ओहो, उठा के खेल दिया है। खूबसूरत शॉट और ये सीधा बाउंड्री के पार।
ओहो, जब ये मारना शुरू करते हैं इनको रोकना मुश्किल है।
बल्लेबाज ने इस गेंद को पढ़ा भी और जड़ा भी। लगाया छक्का।
स्पिनर को दूसरे छोर से लाया गया है।
डीप पॉइंट पे फील्डर लगाया है कप्तान ने।
क्या चाबुक शॉट लगाया है। ऐसी शॉट की आवाज सुनते ही मन मंत्र मुग्ध हो जाता है।
फील्डिंग में परिवर्तन।
बेहतरीन बल्लेबाजी बल्लेबाज द्वारा। बोल्ड कर दिया। शानदार गेंद। बल्लेबाज पवेलियन की ओर जाते हुए हताश, निराश, उदास।
बल्लेबाज तैयार अपनी पहली गेंद का सामना करने के लिए। बहुत ही खूबसूरती से मारा है इस शॉट को।
बहुत ही बढ़िया टाइमिंग और शॉट सिलेक्शन का प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं यहाँ, लेकिन थोड़ा संभल के लय में है। बड़ी पारी खेलने का पूरा मौका है, कहीं उसे गवा ना बैठे।
बल्लेबाज पवेलियन की ओर जाते हुए हताश, निराश, उदास। स्पिनर्स के खिलाफ काफी आक्रामक रवैया अपनाया है इन्होंने।
और ये 6 रन। लगता है धीरे धीरे फॉर्म में आ रहे हैं बल्लेबाज यहाँ।
इस शॉट को पड़ा भी है और जड़ा भी है। बढ़िया स्ट्रोक।
बल्लेबाज यहाँ काफी आक्रामक मूड में लग रहे हैं।
दूसरे छोर से तेज गति के गेंदबाज को लाया गया है। बल्लेबाज नई गेंद खेलने के लिए पूरी तरह तैयार।
ओह, ये बॉल तो लगी होगी उनको।
बॉलर को अपनी लाइन एंड लेंथ सटीक रखनी होगी इस फील्ड के साथ।
पहला रन तेजी से दौड़ते हुए दूसरे रन की कोशिश होनी चाहिए यहाँ।
खुदकुशी करने की तमन्ना थी यहाँ पे। खराब रनिंग। कप्तान ने अतिरिक्त सुरक्षा के लिए डी पॉइंट लगाया है।
खेलने की कोशिश और पूरी तरह चूक।
गेंदबाज अच्छी लय में दिख रहे हैं। क्या ये विकेट ले पाएंगे? चलिए देखते हैं। समझदारी से गेंदबाजी कर रहे यहाँ गेंदबाज। बल्लेबाज को वो गेंद समझ ही नहीं आई। अच्छी तरीके से खेला। आसानी से 2 रन मिल सकते हैं।
आला फील्डिंग। फील्डर चीते की तरह बॉल पर लपके। तेज गति के गेंदबाजों को काफी आसानी से खेला इन्होंने।
बहुत ही भाग्यशाली रहे वहां, मिस कर गए। बहुत ही बढ़िया गेंदबाजी।
अतिरिक्त सुरक्षा के लिए डीप एक्स्ट्रा कवर पर फील्डर लगाया गया है। बढ़िया शॉट। बस सिंगल मिलेगा यहाँ। बॉलर अपने पसंदीदा छोर से गेंदबाजी करते हुए। बल्लेबाज की अच्छी कोशिश पर बॉल सीधा फील्डर के हाथ में।
निराश होकर पेविलियन की तरफ लौटते हुए।
इस विकेट ने बड़ा अच्छा खेल दिखाया है। थोड़ा बहुत गेंदबाजों के लिए भी था और अच्छे शॉट लगाने के लिए भी। आत्मविश्वास भरी अपील, लेकिन अंपायर ने नकारा।
जोरदार अपील, काफी नजदीकी मामला, और ये रिव्यू लेते हुए।
Checking for a no ball. Fair delivery. No problem. Reaching outside. Impact in line. Not hitting. You can stay with your decision. You'll be on screen now.
बिल्कुल भी जरूरत नहीं थी यहाँ ये शॉट खेलने की। लगता है अपनी एकाग्रता खो बैठे।
ये लगा हवाई शॉट, खूबसूरती से लगाया।
दमदार शॉट। जिस तरफ इन्होंने मारा है उस तरफ की बाउंड्री बाकी के बाउंड्री के मुकाबले बहुत ही लंबी है।
बहुत लय में नजर आ रहे हैं। ये देखो बल्लेबाज का रौद्र रूप, उसे मालूम है कि गेंद का क्या हश्र करना है।
जब फुल फ्लो में खेलते हैं तब इनकी बल्लेबाजी देखने लायक होती है।
बहुत ही उम्दा कार्य स्टंप्स के पीछे, बैट्समैन के बल्ले से कहीं ज्यादा तेज। एक लंबा रास्ता तय कर रहे हैं पवेलियन की ओर जाते हुए। तेज गति के गेंदबाज वापस आते हुए।
बल्लेबाज अपनी पहली गेंद की तैयारी करते हुए।
बल्लेबाज पूरी तरह से चूक गए। बढ़िया बॉलिंग।
निराश लग रहे हैं वहां। मेरी माने तो अपने आप को खुशकिस्मत समझें जो अभी क्रीज पे ही खड़े हैं।
बल्ले का बॉल के साथ अच्छा तालमेल, 6 रन। क्या बल्लेबाज एक और बाउंड्री का प्रयास करेंगे? देखते हैं।
बहुत ही उम्दा शॉट, 6 रन के लिए दर्शनीय शॉट।
खूबसूरत शॉट, बैट्समैन अपनी खूबियां दिखाते हुए। बड़ी अच्छी बैटिंग फॉर्म में लग रहा है बल्लेबाज।
बहुत ही बड़ा 6, मानो कह रहे थे कि जब तक तोड़ेंगे नहीं तब तक छोड़ेंगे नहीं।
बल्लेबाज ने गेंदबाजी को साधारण बना दिया है। चलिए देखते हैं आगे क्या होगा।
फिजियो को बुलाने की आवश्यकता हो सकती है। बैट्समैन घायल।
स्पिनर को दूसरे छोर से लाया गया है।
बल्लेबाज नई गेंद खेलने के लिए पूरी तरह तैयार। बहुत ही उम्दा कार्य स्टंप्स के पीछे, बैट्समैन के बल्ले से कहीं ज्यादा तेज।
बहुत ही निराश लग रहे हैं।
डीप पॉइंट पे फील्डर लगाया है कप्तान ने। और ये स्टंप्ड, बाहर निकलने की कोशिश थी यहां बल्लेबाज की और बहुत ही अच्छी स्टंपिंग।
पवेलियन का लंबा रास्ता तय करना पड़ेगा बल्लेबाज को अब। बॉलर अपने पसंदीदा छोर से गेंदबाजी करते हुए।
यहाँ तो नाक के नीचे से एक रन चुरा लिया बॉस। बल्लेबाज हमेशा रन चुराने के लिए तैयार रहते हैं।
बहुत ही जोरदार अपील, लेकिन अंपायर का इशारा, नॉट आउट। स्लॉग ओवर्स के लिए विकेट बचा के रखना बड़ा जरूरी होता है। गैप में खेल दिया है, क्या ये 2 रन ले सकते हैं यहाँ? काफी अच्छी अपील फील्डिंग साइड द्वारा, और ये नजदीकी मामला हो
इसी के
सकता
साथ
है।
पहले इनिंग्स की समाप्ति। ये देखना बहुत ही दिलचस्प होगा कि क्या रणनीति के साथ आते हैं बल्लेबाज यहाँ इसे चेस करने।
Welcome back. We had an interesting
हम आपके सामने फिर से हाजिर हैं एक इनिंग्स ब्रेक के बाद। लक्ष्य तय है और सफर होगा रोमांचक।
और ये आ रहे हैं 2 अंपायर्स फील्डिंग टीम के साथ, और उन्हीं के ठीक पीछे सलामी बल्लेबाज। विकेट संभाल के खेलना होगा यहाँ। मैच एक बहुत ही रोमांचक तेज गेंदबाज को लाया जा रहा है इस छोर से।
यही एक चीज बिल्कुल नहीं चाहेंगे, रन आउट।
बॉल सीधा फील्डर के हाथ में, कोई रन नहीं।
इस आक्रामक फील्ड के साथ तो बहुत ही सूझबूझ और नियंत्रण के साथ गेंदबाजी करनी होगी यहाँ।
ये बढ़िया रनिंग, अद्भुत रनिंग। ये हैं जो बाउंड्री से इश्क फरमाते हैं। ये बात विपक्षी टीम को बखूबी मालूम है।
सीधा फील्डर के हाथ में, कोई रन नहीं।
बहुत ही आक्रामक फील्ड लगा रखी है विकेट की तलाश में। ये एक बहुत ही अच्छी रणनीति हो सकती है। उम्दा शॉट, लाजवाब प्लेसमेंट। फील्डर तो वहां दर्शक बने रह गए। दर्शक इनके दीवाने हैं, और क्यों ना हो, इतना खुल के खेलते हैं मानो हर बॉल पे छक्का मार देंगे।
फील्डर के बाजू से रन चुरा लिया इन्होंने।
बहुत ही दिलचस्प होगा अगर इन्होंने अभी एक शॉर्ट पिच बॉल डाल दी बल्लेबाज को।
अच्छा शॉट था ये, पर गेंद स्पिनर को दूसरे छोर से लाया गया है। कवर पे फील्डर तैनात किए हैं कैप्टन ने।
उठा के खेल दिया है, गैप में गई, और ये बेहतरीन चौका। इनके तो बल्ले से सिर्फ चौके और छक्के ही जा रहे हैं। चलिए देखते हैं अगली गेंद कहां मारेंगे।
बॉलर अपने पसंदीदा छोर से गेंदबाजी करते हुए।
गैप में खेलने का प्रयास, लेकिन फील्डर मिले वहां पास।
कप्तान की आज जितनी तारीफ करो कम होगी। बहुत ही अच्छे फील्ड प्लेसमेंट्स लगाए हैं आज यहां।
सीधा फील्डर के पास खेल दिया है, गैप ढूंढने में असमर्थ।
और दूसरे छोर पे भी तेज गेंदबाज को ही लाया जा रहा है।
बहुत ही खराब गेंद और ये वाइड बॉल।
इस आक्रामक फील्ड के साथ तो बहुत ही सूझबूझ और नियंत्रण के साथ गेंदबाजी करनी होगी यहाँ।
बढ़िया लीड बल्लेबाज की।
ओह, बहुत ही बेहतरीन कप्तानी यहाँ। इसे कहते हैं होमवर्क करके आना। बल्लेबाज को देखते हुए कवर्स पे फील्डर लगा दिया है।
बॉलर अपने पसंदीदा छोर से गेंदबाजी करते हुए।
खेला तो ये बढ़िया है, लेकिन अंदरूनी फील्डर को मात नहीं दे पाए।
कप्तान की आज जितनी तारीफ करो कम होगी। बहुत ही अच्छे फील्ड प्लेसमेंट्स लगाए हैं आज यहाँ।
अंपायर का इशारा, नो बॉल।
ये गेंदबाज तेज गति से गेंदबाजी करने के लिए लाइन लेंथ से समझौता कर बैठते हैं।
चतुराई से गेंदबाजी कर रहे हैं गेंदबाज। बॉल को जाने दिया बल्लेबाज ने।
स्पिनर को लाया गया अटैक में। देखते हैं इस पिच से कितना लाभ उठाते हैं। फील्डर है कवर पर। बहुत ही बढ़िया ढंग से खेला, सिंगल के लिए।
जो मदद इस गेंदबाज को इस शोर से मिली है, जायज है कि ये उनका फेवरेट एंड होगा।
ये शॉट गया हवा में और गैप में भी गया।
बढ़िया टाइमिंग और शॉट सिलेक्शन का प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं यहाँ, लेकिन थोड़ा संभल के। ले में है, बड़ी पारी खेलने का पूरा मौका है, कहीं उसे गवा ना बैठे।
सिंगल लिया। बल्लेबाज स्ट्राइक रोटेशन बड़ी अच्छी कर रहे हैं।
बहुत ही बढ़िया कैच। फील्डिंग कोच आज बहुत खुश होंगे इस प्रदर्शन से।
बल्लेबाज पवेलियन की ओर जाते हुए हताश, निराश, उदास।
बल्लेबाज अपनी पहली गेंद की तैयारी करते हुए।
कुछ अलग करने की कोशिश में गेंदबाज अपनी लाइन नहीं पकड़ पाए। वाइड बॉल। गैप में खेलने की अच्छी कोशिश, लेकिन फील्डर वहां मौजूद। बॉलर को अपनी लाइन एंड लेंथ सटीक रखनी होगी इस फील्ड के साथ।
सीधा फील्डर के पास। बल्लेबाज सरलता से खेल पा रहे हैं इस शॉट को। बल्लेबाज निश्चित रूप से 2 रन ले सकते हैं।
बढ़िया रनिंग दोनों बल्लेबाजों की विकेट के बीच।
ओह, बहुत ही बेहतरीन कप्तानी यहाँ। इसे कहते हैं होमवर्क करके आना। बल्लेबाज को देखते हुए कवर्स पे फील्डर लगा दिया है। उठा के खेल दिया है, गैप में गई और ये बेहतरीन चौका। बहुत ही अलग किस्म की फील्ड लगाई है यहाँ कप्तान ने। देखना बहुत दिलचस्प होगा कि क्या करेंगे अब बल्लेबाज।
पहला रन तेजी से दौड़ते हुए दूसरे रन की कोशिश होनी चाहिए यहाँ।
बढ़िया रनिंग दोनों बल्लेबाजों की विकेट के बीच। बॉलर अपने पसंदीदा छोर से गेंदबाजी करते हुए।
बढ़िया लीड बल्लेबाज की। गैप में खेल दिया है, 2 रन की कोशिश होगी यहां। बहुत ही बढ़िया तालमेल दोनों बल्लेबाजों के बीच में, अच्छी रनिंग बिटवीन द विकेट्स।
दूसरे छोर से तेज गति के गेंदबाज को लाया गया है।
कवर पे फील्डर तैनात किए हैं कैप्टन ने।
यहाँ तो नाक के नीचे से 1 रन चुरा लिया बॉस। बल्लेबाज हमेशा रन चुराने के लिए तैयार रहते हैं।
बहुत ही बढ़िया तालमेल दोनों बल्लेबाजों के बीच में, अच्छी रनिंग बिटवीन द विकेट्स।
खेला तो ये बढ़िया है, लेकिन अंदरूनी फील्डर को मात नहीं दे पाए। गेंदबाज अपने पसंदीदा छोर से गेंदबाजी कर रहे हैं। ये शॉट गया हवा में और गैप में भी गया।
बल्लेबाज यहां काफी आक्रामक मूड में लग रहे हैं।
ये स्पिनर्स के सामने विकराल रूप धारण कर लेते हैं। गैप में खेलने का प्रयास, लेकिन फील्डर मिले वहां पास। कप्तान बड़े चौकन्ने रहते हैं अपनी फील्ड प्लेसमेंट्स को लेकर। रचनात्मक शॉट खेला, पहले रन के लिए दौड़ लगाई, क्या दूसरे की प्राप्ति होगी?
इन दोनों की आज इतनी बेहतरीन रनिंग बिटवीन द विकेट्स रही है कि मानो ऐसा लगता है कि कोई इन्हें नहीं रोक सकता एक एक्स्ट्रा रन चुराने से। इस आक्रामक फील्ड के साथ तो बहुत ही सूझबूझ और नियंत्रण के साथ गेंदबाजी करनी होगी यहाँ।
सीधा फील्डर के पास, बल्लेबाज सरलता से खेल पा रहे हैं इस शॉट को।
ओह, बहुत ही बेहतरीन कप्तानी यहाँ। इसे कहते हैं होमवर्क करके आना। बल्लेबाज को देखते हुए कवर्स पे फील्डर लगा दिया है।
गेंदबाज अपने पसंदीदा छोर से गेंदबाजी कर रहे हैं।
अब 1-1, 2-2 रन से नहीं चलेगा, थोड़े चौके छक्के लगाओ वरना रिक्वायर्ड रन रेट तो चढ़ती ही जाएगी।
बढ़िया शॉट, बस सिंगल मिलेगा यहाँ।
पूरी शिद्दत से फोकस बनाए रखना होगा यहाँ, वरना ये गेम हाथ से निकलते देर नहीं लगेगी।
बहुत ही अच्छी तालमेल दोनों बल्लेबाजों के बीच में, बढ़िया रनिंग बिटवीन द विकेट्स।
गेम के इस पड़ाव पर फील्डिंग टीम को इक्के दुक्के कोई मायने नहीं रखते।
बल्लेबाज की आंखें तो चील की आंखों की तरह हो चुकी है। गेंदबाज के हाथ से ही बॉल का लाइन और लेंथ समझ चुके थे वो। बहुत ही प्यारा छक्का।
दूसरे छोर से स्पिनर का आगमन। फील्डर है कवर पर।
नजाकत से खेल दिया है सिंगल के लिए।
गेंदबाज अपने पसंदीदा छोर से गेंदबाजी कर रहे हैं।
उठा के खेल दिया है, गैप में गई और ये बेहतरीन चौका। ऐसे फॉर्म में खेल रहे हैं यहां, जैसे अंग्रेजी में कहते हैं फॉर्म ऑफ हिज लाइफ। वाह क्या बात है।
खेल दिया है गैप में और ये 1 रन।
नो बॉल। काफी निराश होंगे बॉलर अपने आप से यहाँ।
ये गेंदबाज तेज गति से गेंदबाजी करने के लिए लाइन लेंथ से समझौता कर बैठते हैं।
कुछ अलग करने की कोशिश में गेंदबाज अपनी लाइन नहीं पकड़ पाए। वाइड बॉल। क्या शॉट लगाया है बल्लेबाज ने। सारे फील्डर्स बस गेंद को दर्शकों के बीच जाते हुए देख सकते हैं।
एक बड़ा शॉट तो ओवर का लगा चुके हैं, लेकिन अब उन्हें इस पारी को एक लंबी पारी में तब्दील करने की कोशिश करनी होगी।
बढ़िया शॉट। बस सिंगल मिलेगा यहाँ।
ओह बेहतरीन टाइमिंग और गेंद सीमा रेखा के पार। 4 रन। बॉलिंग में परिवर्तन। तेज गेंदबाज को लाया जा रहा है।
बॉलर को अपनी लाइन एंड लेंथ सटीक रखनी होगी इस फील्ड के साथ।
गेंदबाज कुछ अलग करने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। वाइड डाल बैठे। फील्डर है कवर पर।
पूरी ताकत लगा दी इस शॉट में बल्लेबाज ने। 6 रन। क्या बल्लेबाज एक और बाउंड्री का प्रयास करेंगे? देखते हैं।
2 रन का कॉल।
सिंगल्स एंड डबल्स लिमिटेड ओवर्स फॉर्मेट में काफी जरूरी है।
ये बढ़िया रनिंग, अद्भुत रनिंग। गेंदबाज अपने पसंदीदा छोर से गेंदबाजी कर रहे हैं।
हवा में खेल दिया था, ठीक तरह टाइम नहीं कर पाए थे यहां और ये आउट।
बल्लेबाज को बांध कर रखने के लिए फील्डिंग के मुताबिक गेंदबाजी करनी चाहिए। ये वाइड होगी भैया। चलिए दोबारा डालिए गेंद।
बढ़िया शॉट, अगर तेज दौड़े तो 2 रन मिल सकते हैं यहाँ।
बहुत ही बढ़िया तालमेल दोनों बल्लेबाजों के बीच में, अच्छी रनिंग बिटवीन द विकेट्स।
दूसरे छोर से स्पिनर का आगमन।
बल्लेबाज अपनी पहली गेंद की तैयारी करते हुए
गैप में खेल दिया है, 2 रन की कोशिश होगी यहां।
बढ़िया रनिंग दोनों बल्लेबाजों की विकेट के बीच।
ये शॉट गया हवा में और गैप में भी गया।
ऐसे फॉर्म में खेल रहे हैं यहाँ, जैसे अंग्रेजी में कहते हैं फॉर्म ऑफ हिज लाइफ। वाह क्या बात है।
खेला तो ये बढ़िया है, लेकिन अंदरूनी फील्डर को मात नहीं दे पाए। क्या जबरदस्त मैच यहाँ हो रहा है, रोमांच से भरपूर। दर्शक भी इस उच्च स्तर की क्रिकेट का मजा उठा रहे हैं।
काफी तेज दौड़ लगाई है पहले रन के लिए यहाँ। हमेशा दूसरे रन की तलाश में यहाँ दोनों बल्लेबाज।
इन दोनों की आज इतनी बेहतरीन रनिंग बिटवीन द विकेट्स रही है कि मानो ऐसा लगता है कि कोई इन्हें नहीं रोक सकता एक एक्स्ट्रा रन चुराने से।
बल्लेबाज नाकामयाब रहे शॉट खेलने में और गेंद सीधा फील्डर के हाथ में। ये रही पारी की आखिरी गेंद आपके सामने।
अद्भुत प्रदर्शन फील्डिंग साइड द्वारा। कप्तान ने अच्छे क्षेत्र रक्षण लगाए थे और गेंदबाजों ने अपना काम बखूबी योजना के मुताबिक किया। आखिरकार लक्ष्य कुछ ज्यादा ही था बैटिंग साइड के लिए। फील्डिंग टीम ने अपने जौहर दिखाए और जीत के सही हकदार। दोनों ही खेमों के प्लेयर आपस में एक दूसरे का हाथ मिलाते हुए और ड्रेसिंग रूम की तरफ जाते हुए एक बहुत अच्छा क्रिकेट का मुजाहरा देखने को मिला, जो कि नियमों के
Let's congratulate our man of the match and catch him for a few words. I felt I was in top form today and I'm really glad I could contribute towards the team.
Where we will be bringing you live action shortly. I am joined by our experts who are all really excited.
Yeah, I think this will be a great game and some of these players are in the form of their lives. I wouldn't want to miss a moment.
The conditions out there
We have both the captains in the center with the match referee.
Heads is the call, and heads it is. A good toss to win. They need to execute their plans well to make most of the conditions. These are the playing 11 for the respective teams.
Ladies and gents,
A lovely day to play cricket.
In comes the fielding side. They look charged up and ready to go.
In come the openers, greeted with a loud cheer from the crowd.
5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
इनिंग की पहली गेंद का सामना करते हुए। ओहो, उठा के खेल दिया है, खूबसूरत शॉट, और ये सीधा बाउंड्री के पार। गेंद की लेंथ का अनुमान तो इन्होंने बहुत ही जल्दी लगा लिया था। बहुत ही खूबसूरत शॉट। फील्डिंग में परिवर्तन। बहुत ही आक्रामक बल्लेबाज हैं ये विश्व क्रिकेट में। लाइन और लेंथ मापने में तो 1 सेकंड नहीं लगाते ये। बहुत ही बढ़िया 6।
क्या बल्लेबाज एक और बाउंड्री का प्रयास करेंगे? देखते हैं।
ये शॉट गया हवा में और गैप में भी गया।
शानदार बल्लेबाजी। बॉलर को इशारा करके बता रहे हैं कि अगली गेंद कहां जाएगी।
ऐसे फॉर्म में खेल रहे हैं यहां, जैसे अंग्रेजी में कहते हैं फॉर्म ऑफ हिज लाइफ। वाह क्या बात है। बहुत ही कॉन्फिडेंट अपील यहां बॉलर की, और अंपायर नॉट आउट देते हुए।
कप्तान ने बढ़िया फील्ड लगाई है और गेंदबाज भी फील्ड के अनुसार ही गेंदबाजी कर रहे हैं।
काफी हताश होंगे अपने आप से। सीधा स्लॉट में थी गेंद।
उठा दिया है, 6 रन। जैसे ही बैट पे लगी थी, कोई दो राय नहीं था, कोई संदेह नहीं था कि ये 6 रन है। बहुत ही सरल शॉट था ये बल्लेबाज का। गेंद की रफ्तार का पूरा उपयोग करते हुए गेंद को पहुंचा दिया है बाउंड्री लाइन के उस पार।
तेज गेंदबाज को लाया गया है दूसरे छोर से।
बल्लेबाज अपनी पहली गेंद की तैयारी करते हुए।
हवा में खेल दिया है और गैप में भी। 4 रन। बल्लेबाज पूरे नियंत्रण में थे वहां। फील्ड में बदलाव।
ये एक ऐसे बल्लेबाज हैं जो ग्राउंड के किसी भी कोने में मार सकते हैं। चलिए देखते हैं अगली गेंद कहां मारेंगे।
गैप में खेल दिया है। क्या ये 2 रन ले सकते हैं यहां?
मेरा मानना है आउट है। बेहतरीन फील्डिंग का मुजाहरा क्षेत्र रक्षक द्वारा।
बॉलर ने तो बल्लेबाज को वापसी का रास्ता दिखा दिया।
कैच आउट हो जाओ, बोल्ड हो जाओ, लेकिन रन आउट कभी मत होना। अक्सर देखा गया है कि रन आउट मैच की परिस्थिति बदल देती है। बहुत ही बढ़िया शॉट, बहुत ही बड़ा 6। जाने जाते हैं ये बल्लेबाज ऐसे शॉटों के लिए, और जब फॉर्म में हो तो इन्हें रोकना नामुमकिन होता है।
बढ़िया टाइमिंग। खूबसूरती से गैप ढूंढा बैट्समैन ने। ओहो, जब ये मारना शुरू करते हैं इनको रोकना मुश्किल है।
बेबुनियाद शॉट बल्लेबाज द्वारा ठीक से पढ़ नहीं पाए।
गेंद की दिशा को थोड़ा समझ के खेलना होगा यहां।
बढ़िया शॉट, इसे रोक पाना तो मुश्किल है।
बेहतरीन बल्लेबाजी बल्लेबाज द्वारा।
और ये 6 रन। लगता है धीरे धीरे फॉर्म में आ रहे हैं बल्लेबाज यहां।
बल्लेबाज नई गेंद खेलने के लिए पूरी तरह तैयार।
बहुत ही नजाकत से उठा दिया है वहां। 6 रन।
फील्ड में बदलाव।
बहुत ही बढ़िया टाइमिंग और शॉट सिलेक्शन का प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं यहां, लेकिन थोड़ा संभल के, लय में है, बड़ी पारी खेलने का पूरा मौका है, कहीं उसे गवा ना बैठे।
Serve, the new ball got to be counted, just 10 overs older, beg your pardon, 8 overs older. can nick out 1 or 2 from these batsmen. I'm pretty sure that the West Indies can get into this game. Always in goal, the first inning score matters the most. So West Indies got to work hard, bowl those lengths and lines, make the batsmen frustrated. We all know it's a good batting pitch, still good conditions to bat on. Make it harder.
4th century of the year for the Sri Lankan captain, Dhananjaya De Silva. Seen him already in the Caribbean getting a few runs. All about his ability, and indeed it was only 7 months ago they were in Antigua taking on each other for a couple of test matches which finished in draws at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium. No surprise that we see Jason Holder taking up the attack from the fort end, the southern end at the Galle International Stadium. Another beautiful day this Monday morning. Thought we would have gotten in the 90 overs yesterday, but we got a bit hazy. The light wasn't as good and the umpires decided that it wasn't good enough to complete those final 2 overs with the extra half an hour. No problem at all with the light though this morning. Very bright indeed, with this beautiful ground framed by the fort at the southern end of the ground. We're just about ready to get underway.
Right on the money, Jason Holder. Exactly what he did yesterday as well. With those nice lines and lengths, being very tight. It's amazing how a containment bowler is more effective out of the 2 quicks. So he was hovering around 120, 125. Clouds moving across as well. Need some players would be wishing it to stay over. It's definitely very, very warm down there.
When you look at those shots from our drone camera, from that great height, if you suffer from vertigo, which is a fear of heights, you'll be watching from a distance and saying, just hope you don't drop down. Thankfully it's remote, it's completely remote. There's nobody up there.
Scared of heights, I'll put my hands up. Nice line, nice lengths. Good start by Jason Holder. Was talking about 125, 128 maximum. The lengths and the lines, a bounce. It's very impressive by the young man. Into his 15th over, just given away 15 runs. Goes to show it's not about only trying to bowl fast, it's about control. Trying to move the ball as much as possible. And kind of watching very, very closely, very watchful this morning.
Of course, the #1 fast bowling option is this man, Shannon Gabriel. And it remains a major talking point that the West Indies opted in their selection to go with one out-and-out fast bowler when you've got the senior man like Kimar Roach, the bright young talent in Jaden Seals, who are both warming up this morning, going through their routines. And they went with Gabriel, got the wicket. I was going to say early wicket, but it wasn't. It came after an opening partnership of 136. So it was a gamble that hasn't paid off as yet for the West Indies. And they've gone with Jason Holder to start the bowling this morning.
Made to start the proceedings. Sri Lanka 267 for 3.
There you go.
Go.
Sri Lanka, 267 for 3. And as we saw so often on day one, the West Indies with the combination of pace and spin, starting this morning with Jason Holder. Now it's going to be the big man, Rakeem Cornwall, off spin from the commentary end.
Hold on. Dead ball. Don't do that to Jimmy. I'm not that good looking.
Slip and a short leg in place.
Good to see tactic of Dhananjay De Silva going to be. So very aggressive yesterday. Straight away deep mid wicket, a deep square leg and a long on. Safe field. With the West Indies to start with.
This is an interesting field. You start the morning with a long on, a deep mid wicket and a deep backward square leg, together with a backward point on the boundary. There they are on the onside. 3 fielders deep, and of course it's being changed now because the left-hander Karunaratne is coming into strike. We've got our first run of the morning. But I'm understanding the context as not wanting to let too many boundaries flow early. But are you making it easier for Sri Lanka?
Taken the safe option, not giving the fast start that the Sri Lankans might be looking for. Now it just goes to show, beg your pardon, how strong the Sri Lankans have been so far in this game, straight away being in the front foot. And also, as far as the West Indians are concerned, it's all about containment. I understand what you're trying to say, Fazil, but when it comes to spinners, I do get as well why the field has been set. Time to contain the batsman as early as possible.
Yes, Jimmy.
I hear you, Farviz, but what about backing your bowler as well and saying, look, every session is a new start, every day is a new start. Here's an opportunity here maybe to put a bit of pressure, build a bit of pressure.
Nowadays, the latest, the new generation goes to the second option, which is to get into the game, unfortunately. We come back to the end of the 90th, Sri Lanka 269 for 3. But a card for Sri Lanka. It's been magnificent by Pathum Nissanka and Dimuth Karno to start with. 2 batsmen to miss out, Oshinda Fernando and Angelo Matthews. And Dhananjay De Silva being very positive. Both wicket partnership of 99 of 150 delivery just goes to show the intent shown by 2 batsmen, especially Dhananjay De Silva. Jason Holder to continue from the goal forward end. Definitely, I do agree with you, Fazil. Just that the new generation, I've seen a lot, even Sri Lanka, the past few months during the test matches, usually take that safe option rather than getting the batsman to be tempted to go for a big shot. And gone are the days, it's the other way around. If you take the early 2000s, it was much different. This, and also the wicket's been so good. Side hesitation. No damage done in the end. The new generation takes the other way around for some reason, Fazil. But I'm pretty sure if the wicket falls down, there's a slight confusion among the 2 batsmen. No damage done in the end. Pretty sure Craig Brathwaite, the skipper, would be tempted to bring the field in. Until then, it's just a cat and mouse game.
Looks as if Jason Holder wants a change in the field. Jermaine Blackwood coming out of second slip, and he's sending out a square leg to the boundary. I hear you about that second option, safety first, but this is the start of a new day, and we could develop that point a bit further. I understand the issue of the cat and mouse game and not wanting to give away too many boundaries, but surely the evidence would be the status of these 2 teams in Test cricket. Is it working for them? Holder changing his line, going round the wicket. Is it working? Because the West Indies have been struggling for a long time. Sri Lanka find themselves struggling as well in Test match cricket. So is this safety first option really working?
Highly doubt it. And also Jason Holder coming round the wicket and bring the second slip field into short wicket catching. You bowler made no to start with. Why do you want to change right away? You need to build up the pressure. I hear you, Fazil. Just that sometimes even I miss out on answers as well. Some of the tactics used by West Indies.
He calls for two immediately. The 100 partnership comes up as well. So again, the value of partnerships. You've got your captain there at the top of the order. Diana De Silva has come in after a couple of wickets have gone down, and they're really setting themselves up for this second day. 100 stand.
Very well batted, both of you. Definitely be looking for a bigger one. Dhananjay De Silva, Dimuth Karna usually when he gets 100 goes and bets a big one. Contribution 57 and 42. Oh, lucky, very lucky. There's no third man there. It's going to be a boundary. Jason Holder digging it short. Dimuth Karna took the bat in the last moment, but got the top edge. Definitely fortune favours the brave.
Looks as if that might have been the edge. Thought it was the face of the bat, but it was the angle, because he's coming around the wicket, and for all of the time that he's been there, that's why the Mr. Naratna made the point when we spoke to him this morning about really starting all over again, building, because it's not easy out there.
You can feel the spark again.
Again, at the shoulder of the bat, which is why we made the point.
Let's go, please.
It's the start of a new day. Try to build some pressure, not give away easy runs. You've got to be proactive in this game, because if you just lay back, waiting for something to happen, by the time it happens, it's going to be too late.
Especially with the fast ball on, having that inconsistent bounce sometimes, it's important to have the attacking positions covered. Don't see the short mid-wicket attacking when you're bowling outside the off-stump line. That's better. Still that bounce, but I'm pretty sure the angle got to be better. End of the 91st, Sri Lanka 275 for 3. Bowling card for West Indies, 8 bowlers used. Back of the bowling being done by Cornwall, Morricone, Chase, Holder. Successful bowler being Roston Chase, picked up 2 wickets. The right-handers Osuna Fernando and Angelo Matthews. Sharon Gabriel picking up the solitary wicket of Pathum Nissanka.
Well, how often do you see this after one day of Test cricket? 8 bowlers used. The only ones who haven't bowled would be Nkrumah Bonner and Jeremy Salazano, who can't bowl. And because he's in hospital and under observation after that blow on the helmet. Shea Hope is on the field as a substitute. Could very well become the concussion substitute depending on what we hear later today. Of course, Joshua De Silva hasn't bowled. He's behind the stumps. But he's had to do some running. He's been running to the boundary towards the end of day 1.
Working, Jimmy.
Tight stuff by Cornwall, not trying to give any air, pretty flat. Bowling wicket to wicket, not giving any width to Dhananjay De Silva. There's a sweeper point as well. Short extra cover and mid-off in the offside. Oh, lovely. That's much better. Midland leg line. Dhananjay De Silva trying to clip it away towards the front of mid-wicket, but got the thick inside edge towards the right side of the mid-wicket fielder.
Well, they should know each other very, very well by now, this pair of Karunaratne and Dhananjaya De Silva. Their last 3 partnerships, 345 and 73 against Bangladesh in the last test match, end of April into May, and now 105, 106 so far for the 4th wicket.
End of the 92nd, Sri Lanka 276 for 3.
They're at it again, Dimuth Karunaratne and Dhananjaya De Silva. 106 so far for the 4th wicket. A lot of work for the West Indies to do on this second morning, which has become a familiar tale for the Caribbean side away from home, the exception being those 2 test matches in Bangladesh at the start of the year. Won those 2 tests, and that was real turn up for the books. The anticipation was they would struggle desperately, but they responded magnificently with their new captain Craig Brathwaite at the time, now fully installed as leader of the West Indies team.
How do you see Craig Brathwaite going with the new role of being captain? The test team record, of course, started off well against Bangladesh. Since then, lost a series to South Africa, then Pakistan was 1-1 and 2-0, nil all against West Sri Lanka in Antigua. They've decently done well so far, I think.
I think he'll get a pass mark so far, and I say so far because, again, went to Bangladesh 1-2-0, 0-0 with Sri Lanka, as you mentioned. The real worry was the way they were decimated by the fast bowlers of South Africa in St. Lucia at the Darren Sammy Stadium on sporting surfaces. They really were found wanting. 1-1 against Pakistan. That included that 1-wicket victory. But again highlighted the concerns about their ability to play fast bowling. And now they're here in Sri Lanka. So he is a pretty phlegmatic character, is Craig Brathwaite. Doesn't really get worked up by too much, doesn't say a whole lot, doesn't appear to be a very demonstrative sort of character. And his captaincy seems to be very much in line with his personality. Also like Jason Holder, because he faced similar sort of observations, if you want to call them criticisms, of being rather defensive as a captain, rather cautious, rather careful, rather than being aggressive, proactive. The argument could be that the resources that he has doesn't allow him to be aggressive, but again, are you giving them that opportunity? Which is why we had that discussion about Kemar Roach, Jayden Seales, because when the West Indies, and we often talk about that dominant era, even before that, when the West Indies went to the subcontinent, India, Pakistan, before Sri Lanka came onto the test scene, they would still trust in their fast bowlers to do the job, to do the business. You look back and with those great fast bowlers, but even before that, the West Indies would go to India, Pakistan, and win test series in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, long before the great 4 fast bowlers. And they would have won in conditions that were raging turners. The West Indies were winning test matches when India had Bedi, Prasanna, Venkat, Chandrasekhar. They would trust their fast bowlers to do the job. So it's interesting when you hear now about raging turners and the pitches not suiting good cricket. So many teams went to this part of the world for years, for decades, and were able to compete, were able to win in those conditions. Now you're hearing all this nonsense about not being right for cricket and so on. You've got to be able to adapt. You've got to be able to cope. This is the beauty of Test cricket, the ability to cope with different conditions, different challenges.
On top delivery in the over. 93rd done. Sri Lanka 277 for 3. The naval ship around the Gulf coastal area. Gunship. Current run rate of 2.98. Since done the containment job this morning. Sri Lanka just getting into the groove, trying to find the rhythm what they had yesterday.
Water's pretty calm in the harbour. The backward point in place.
I definitely agree with what everybody we said, Wazir, and also with Sri Lanka at the similar situation, went through a similar time where when you had Vas and Muralidharan retired, you need to find those wicket-taking bowlers, and then you found Ramagan Herathi continued for a little while. The batting wasn't an issue, but somehow the Sri Lanka's under Dimuth Karunaratne has stabilized themselves. That's what is important, continuation, giving the time as much as possible. As far as Sri Lanka is concerned, yes, we went through a tough time. Now the test team is settling down. And even the T20 team during the World Cup, not much chances were given to the Sri Lankan team, but they went and did so well, and the hope is back. With this team, if the Sri Lankans can do it, a similar setup, a quick single by Dimuth Karunaratne, similar setup with Sri Lanka, they came out of it. They found the youngsters coming in. One fast bowler in Suranga Lakmal is the experienced bowler. The rest of them are being still inexperienced, but finding their groove in test stream. Giving them the time, giving them the exposure. Eventually they'll come good. But you've got to be patient.
Patience, yes, but that assumes confidence in them as well. You can't have a situation where basically you're playing them only when the conditions favor them completely. I remember Prabhat Nissanka bowling beautifully in Jamaica against the West Indies, 2003. And by then we had grown to understand that Sri Lanka wasn't just about spinners, was about quality fast bowling as well. 280 for 3.
Feel the spark again in our powerful hybrids. Toyota, let's go places.
Today, that's his record. 90 test matches, 268 ODIs. What a fantastic player. My first test captain, Nail Fazil. Fantastic player. Former coach as well, was a batting coach and then became the head coach for a couple of tours, if I remember right. So listen to us, Marwan. Very happy birthday to you.
And I believe he has the distinction as well, as we see Shannon Gabriel replacing Jason Holder, of scoring the first test match 100 in St. Lucia. We talked about the Darren Sammy Stadium earlier, 2003, when that first test match was played at that ground. It was known then as the Beausejour. It's now been renamed in honor of the former West Indies captain and two-time World T20 winner. Scored 100 on day one of that test match.
Interesting field to start from Shannon Gabriel. A leg gully, silly mid-on, a deep fine leg, a deep square leg in front of the square, and a mid-on. Suggests to me it's going to be some chin music to the right-hander. Shannon Gabriel hits the deck very hard. Not the ideal when it comes to the situation when it comes down to De Silva. Got to understand. West Indies trying to do different things, trying to get by the wicket, I should say. If it's smart enough, spell is going to be 3-4 overs maximum. If it gets through this, the huge boost for Sri Lanka.
You got to be careful about buying a wicket, because I remember a story. There are so many stories about club cricket in all parts of the world. There's this story about this young spinner in Trinidad getting a first opportunity to bowl, and he tells his captain, the captain isn't familiar with him. As he comes on to bowl, the skip says, okay, what sort of field do you want? Give me a long on, a long off, a deep mid wicket, and a deep backward square leg. And the captain says, give me back the ball, because you intend to bowl nonsense today. You've got to be mindful about as to what you want to do. And here we have the think tank to some extent, because you've got the former captain Jason Holder, you've got the skipper Craig Brathwaite, and maybe Shannon Gabriel isn't too pleased with the tactics here. This idea of bowling short into the body of the right-hander, because he's taking out the leg slip. There's Jermaine Blackwood being pushed into the onside. The short leg is still in place. But there you go, to the right of screen, you've got the deep backward square and the long leg. Is he going to try to get him to go into the pull or the hook top edge to those fielders?
Much fuller this time. Interesting tactics early morning. The West Indians, Craig Brathwaite clearly had an idea. Shan Gabriel thought otherwise. So we're talking about 5 fielders down the leg side, and a slip and a gully, a car point, top down to the boundary, the mid off as well. Gabriel, this 13th over. Big unit. I've seen his previous games, can be lethal on his day. Just that yesterday didn't start that well. But if he gets it right, a bowler that any batsman would not want to face as soon as they come in.
Good effort. Good effort. Save 4 there, Shea Hope. He does have genuine pace and unsettling pace as well, and Sri Lanka know that only too well. But in looking for that extra pace this time, he's overstepped yet again. Big stride, but just over that line. Nothing behind the line. 4th no ball already. Jomel Warrican has 3 no balls, and that's a spinner. But he's used that pace to an unsettling degree for Sri Lanka previously. Bowled a really demonic spell against Sri Lanka in Trinidad of all places, which is not known to be a fast bowler's paradise in 2018. Completely unsettled them on that second afternoon. And he's played it on. He's gotten the breakthrough. His wafting of the bat to try to get it away from the stumps wasn't successful. And Shannon Gabriel has gotten the breakthrough for the West Indies on this second morning.
Oh well, how unlucky is that, Dhananjay Silva? I think he hit the stumps with his bat. Interesting replay coming up. Hurried on. Oh yeah. Ball and the bat both. Not the best of ways to get out. Saying that, what a fantastic knock at the number 5 of Sri Lanka. Dhananjay Silva gone for 61 of 95. Sri Lanka losing their 4th at 281.
Former captain Dinesh Chandimal is the new man in the middle, a wealth of experience. Touching on 40 with that test match average. Played a vital role in Sri Lanka's fight back in the 2018 series in the West Indies when they had lost the first test match. A bit of controversy as well with ball tampering allegations and accusations in St. Lucia. And he played an important hand, and this is why he's here. Really bizarre dismissal. And as Parvez Maharouf mentioned, twice hit it with the bat, but also the stumps. Because the first attempt in attempting to get it away from the stumps. Wasn't successful, but in the second attempt, he knocked off the bail, so he goes hit wicket.
Well, sad state for Ptv Sports, but so well. Looked very comfortable against spin and pace. Was looking for a big one. Unfortunately, gone for 61. Dinesh Chandimal. Important series for him.
Well, it's now the second time that he's been dismissed, hit wicket, Dhananjaya De Silva. And Shannon Gabriel probably will enjoy taking on Dinesh Chandimal as we look at this again. Just clipped the bail, even as he hit the ball for the second time.
Dinesh Chandimal is going to be keeping wickets for Sri Lanka. Been a long time since I saw him keeping wickets in Test cricket. January 2017, the last time Dinesh Chandimal kept wickets. Unavoidable reasons. Suspension of Deep Pella has got this opportunity for Dinesh Chandimal. End of the 95th over, Sri Lanka 2-8-1 for 4.
They need some luck like you. Like me, I don't have no luck. All my luck gone. Used it up.
281 for 4.
Oh yeah, Jimmy, well
So Dhananjaya De Silva, pretty unfortunate to be dismissed in the manner he was. He was looking good, I must say, that this morning
Come on, boys.
they were shaping quite well. It's been pace and spin. It's been Cornwall, I should say, and the seam bowling at the opposite end. A couple of runs to Dimut Karunaratne. Very good morning to everybody joining us, and a good morning to Jehan Mubarak.
Good morning, Roshan, and good morning, everyone. Decent start for the West Indies today. Sri Lanka took off where they left off last night, but unfortunate dismissal of Dhananjaya, keeping West Indies still in the game. And they have to believe, Roshan, that they can still salvage this game. They've got a look in now. Another wicket, put a bit of pressure on the new batsman Chandimal, get into the Sri Lankan tail. 350. I think West Indies would be happy if they can restrict Sri Lanka to anything under 400, 350, 380, and back themselves to bat well in the first innings.
I think they would have done brilliantly well if you get them under 400, because Sri Lanka still has some batting, because Ramesh Mendis is due to come in next. Karunaratne is still there. Chandimal coming back. So they're all very hungry. They'll want to pile on as much as they can. 283 for 4.
No, you're under.
The beautiful sights of the city of Gaul. We can talk about it every day, sunshine or rain. A lovely tourist destination, a lovely cricketing destination. A quick drive from Colombo, just an hour and a half on the highway.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sight. It's a place that not just tourists come, but lots of Sri Lankans also love the beach. They do come to the southern part of Sri Lanka to enjoy the beach, and there are some absolutely magnificent beaches here. Hikkadu is famous for that. Gabriel has been quick. He's had more control today, and as you said, Jehan, they're looking to attack Dinesh Chandimal. They're trying to open up at this end. They know that Chandimal is the vulnerable target right at this moment. He's just in. He's under a bit of pressure. And then they're looking to try and target him. They got a short leg, a leg slip and a gully. So Gabriel will be throwing himself at Dinesh Chandimal here.
Yeah, and there's a lot more chatter from behind the stumps. You can hear Jason Holder even coming right up there, getting in Chandimal's ear.
Oh, that was Fuller. I think it missed everything. Chandimal was looking to drive. Don't think there was an inside edge there. That's a no ball. That's another no ball. But Gabriel is letting it go. He's got a big stride in. Let's see. Don't forget the call is from the third umpire. So he's got a few more seconds to try and see this and confirm it. That was full. That was full. And Gabriel's stock delivery that comes back.
Well, the West Indies and Shannon Gabriel have come in today with a very purposeful plan. They're bowling straight. They're using the short ball well. They're making the Sri Lankan batsmen think about what is coming next. And you can see that uncertainty in their batting. Chandimal tentative on that front foot, going hard with his hands.
That's understandable, isn't it, Jehan? Chandimal is under some sort of pressure. There's no doubt about it. He's been fighting hard to get back his place. Just in. Again, that tight line, the really tight line. And this can happen. Suddenly when you have a new batsman in, the bowler has his tail up and everything goes well. And so far, just take a look at this delivery. Perfect line and length to a new batsman who's struggling to understand where his off stump is. And that tentative push.
Yeah, there have been a lot of those for Sri Lanka. A lot of plays and misses, a lot of edges falling short of slips. A few edges going through the slips for boundaries. And that delivery has prompted a change in the field. Leg slip coming over to a second slip. And they feel that Chandimal's a bit vulnerable there. Also brings in the deep square leg into that leg alley, keeping that pressure on. I like this field. They're definitely not stepping off the gas.
A very good captaincy. I think Brathwaite realizes that this is the opportunity they need to seize on. They need to just make sure that they get a wicket and another one if they could. And I'm sure they're aware that the Sri Lankan tail is a little bit long, so this is the time. Important face. Yeah, Chandimal wouldn't mind it. He wouldn't mind it. He'll just want to leave as many as he can just to understand the pitch. And so far, it's been a good session. I must say that the West Indies have done well, as you said, Jehan. 17 runs and a wicket. It doesn't matter how the wicket comes. It's just the opening they want.
Come boys,
and the field keeps changing around. Now Holder comes into the slips. And the complexion of the field is the same. They got two slips and a gully, but the fielders keep changing around, mixing around.
It's important, isn't it, to have your best fielders in the best positions where you feel the catch is going to come. Is it second slip? Is it short mid-wicket? Is it leg gully? And who's your best fielder? Who's going to hold that catch for you, that half chance that's going to come? Who's going to hold on to it?
Well, still 2 balls to go. We've seen deliveries being pitched up. You reckon a short ball?
Yeah, short ball is around the corner. But I wonder every time Gabriel stretches for that extra yard, he also stretches over the line. And it's just a matter of time before one of those no balls comes back to haunt him.
We were talking about it yesterday, 200 plus no balls in 55 games. And I wish someone made a record of how many wickets he had out of those 200 odd no balls. And that will tell him a story. And that will at least regret and make him learn something. 2 slips and a gully. leg slip, short square leg. Yeah, right. That's the short one we were talking about. Didn't bounce as much as he would have liked to. Chandimal was good. He was on top of it. But these are good mix. Excellent mix of lengths. He was going full first.
Jason Holder making very sure that Chandimal knows exactly what he's saying, even if he doesn't understand the English.
So
he's showing with his hands midriff. I heard the word midriff. So he knows where the ball is going to be.
So you've been sitting with Fazil and you already started understanding the language. I didn't understand a word. Again, just pushing him onto the back foot. It's a good maiden. 284 for 4.
Ordinary tissues burn when Theo blows. So Dad bought Puffs Plus lotion and rescued his nose. With up to 50% more lotion, Puffs brings soothing softness and relief. A nose in need deserves Puffs indeed.
After 6 weeks of rain over Colombo and Galle, we finally got sunshine for the first test here.
Yeah, indeed, the sunshine is welcome. The Cornwall continues. Just that angle. What is interesting to look at is the speeds the spinners bowl. Now Cornwall has been mixing it up. That last delivery over 90 Ks, but it's important that you understand the pace you need to bowl on this pitch, or any pitch for that matter if you're a spinner. The average of Cornwall is in the low 80s, which is good. And you could see how the pitch responds depending on the pace. Now, Galle is the type of place that you need to really bowl with energy into the air and needs to try and search for some turn with good loop rather than firing it in.
Catch it, Bonham. One.
They'll come back for 2. That's poor cricket. That is really poor cricket on the boundary at backward square leg. That's Gabriel. But now take a look at this. Let's look at the speeds they're bowling. They're all in the high 70s. The speeds, Cornwall and Chase, one in the low 80s. But everything else is in the high 70s and low 80s, which tells you that slower, when you say slower, it's not looping it, but slower, you know, with energy, with a lot of spin being imparted, the pitch is going to respond. But if you look to fire it in, I don't think it's ideal. Runs here, behind point, it will run away to the boundary. Short and wide.
Yeah, there's been too many of those from Cornwall to Sri Lanka. Too many getaway balls. Chandimal, too good a batsman to miss out there. Just going on with the arm. Chandimal knows he just needs to make any kind of contact on that. Places it well. Umpire Paliguru had to move out of the way very quickly.
I think that's poor cricket because you can't bowl that line and length with no cover. He didn't have a fieldsman on the offside and now he's got a man on the boundary at cover. And that's more the line he needs to bowl. Unless the pitch is a raging turner, you leave that cover area open and just get the batsman to try and manufacture a shot against the turn. But here, it's not happening. Cornwall's not spinning as much. So now that fieldsman comes back into extra cover, but he'll have to be tight with his line and length here. Can't afford to bowl short and wide.
Yeah, unfortunately in Test cricket, the margins are very small. And just tucked around the corner again. These are easy singles for Chandimal.
292 for 4. 292 for 4. The ramparts and the clock tower of the Galle Fort, very historical. So Gabriel will continue. Chandimal on strike. And Jehan, I sometimes wonder the effort put into building this fort or the fortress. I mean, at a time when modern technology wasn't available, carrying those boulders and putting them together. And I mean, there are so many wonders in the world. And the pyramids is one of them. But when you try to understand that this withstood a tsunami that was so vicious, I mean, when so many modern buildings were destroyed, but this has withstood, and I don't know what they did to hold these boulders together. I mean, we have cement today, but what do you think they would add then? Clay?
Blood and sweat, Roshan. That's how they did it in the old
but
days.
I don't think they hold boulders together. There's a lot of blood and sweat even today. But they need some glue. Cement is the glue. I mean, unless they use clay, it's an amazing, build. Civil engineering at its best. Again, jagging back. Well, we've spoken about Dhananjay De Silva's pretty unfortunate dismissal and the type of wicket the West Indies were looking for, and this is how it happened. Talk about being unfortunate.
Yeah, he was playing with it. He wasn't sure whether to go on the front foot or the back foot, fending for the ball, wasn't sure where it was. And after that, it was just a cat and mouse game with Dhananjay's bat and the ball. Had a couple of goes at it, and unfortunately hit the ball and his stumps. That's a list of batsmen, Sri Lankan batsmen dismissed, hit wicket. It's a fairly long list. I didn't think there would be so many.
Look at Dhananjay De Silva. He's figuring twice. He's found his niche in the list twice. Yeah, have you ever been dismissed hit wicket?
No, I have not. I've always wondered how batsmen manage to get themselves hit wicket.
Because there are different ways of being out hit wicket. I mean, it's not necessarily hitting a wicket, but then like what Dhananjay De Silva did. He was not hitting it while playing a shot, but it was more like trying to prevent the ball coming back onto the stump. So the rule is pretty diverse. The West Indian bowling, particularly the seam bowlers, Gabriel has been good. His lines and lengths have been better. Remember Jehan on day one, he was a bit wavered, he was spraying it around. But today, I think he's tightened his line and length. He's generally been into the right-hander. He doesn't have the delivery, or doesn't bowl the delivery that holds its line, or the one that leaves the right-hander. And one thing that he has, the priceless asset, is pace. He hits the bat hard.
And there's his spell. Those are the short balls. The batsman knows that they're always coming. He's pushed Dhananjay onto the back foot. And then occasionally he'll just throw one up. There you go. Catches the batsman hanging back in his crease. Exposes both the inside edge and the outside edge. A very good spell from Gabriel this morning.
The West Indies needed someone to stand up and do it. At 267 for 3, Sri Lanka was well away at the end of day one. They had used up the new ball in the evening. But they still got a fairly newish ball, which is pronounced and a hard seam. Again, you could see that he's really hitting that bat hard. Just pushing Chandimal onto the back foot. Good pace and bounce. They've been tight, the West Indies. Exactly what the doctor ordered. They've got a wicket as well. And what's been impressive with the seam bowlers is the manner they bowled. It's not about not giving runs, but the way they have bowled. They've been at the batsman.
And they came in with a plan. Holder started off well from the fourth end. Cornwall a little bit loose, but Gabriel picking off from Holder, keeping the pressure on the Sri Lankans.
Pretty chirpy, isn't he, Jason Holder?
It's nice to see the West Indians out there on the field with their spirits high. It's always easy on the second day morning when you've been under the cosh for almost 90 overs to come back out on the second day with high spirits.
.292 for 4. Sri Lanka losing Dhananjay De Silva rather unfortunately for 61, but look at Karunaratne, he's carrying on, 143 not out. Chandimal, Justin, Mendes, and then, if you like to call them the tail, Amuldenia, Lakmal and Chamira and Jai Vikrama. Want to see Roston Chase, the second off spinner, coming on replacing Cornwall.
West Indies bringing back their wicket-taking bowlers. They got them bowling in tandem, Gabriel and Chase.
It's important that West Indies stay disciplined. If they try to do too many things, or if they try too hard, they might start leaking runs by trying different or looking to bowl variety, looking to attack. They might play into the hands of the Sri Lankan batsmen. They got to be patient. They got to just do the basics, as they call it, stick to their lines and lengths. Now, Chase to me is a more orthodox, better organized off spinner. Now these are the 2 wickets. That was yesterday. The first was Oshada Fernando and then Angelo Matthews. That dipped on him. That just dropped on him, and Matthews was committed to the shot. Just went on with it. But Chase is a more orthodox off spinner with a nice action, nice release, and his alignment is good. He tends to use the non-bowling arm quite well. Nice follow through, nice rotation of the hip.
Shot.
Throw mid wicket for 4. Pitched up on the leg stump. Don't bowl there to Dimuth Karunaratne. Just don't bowl there to him. He's so strong through that area. Strong wrists.
Excellent use of his feet down to the pitch of the ball. That's probably the best shot he's played in his innings today. Looking to come down the track. Meets the ball on the half volley. Doesn't give the ball any chance to spin. And picking that gap between mid-on and mid-wicket perfectly. And he's pushed mid-on all the way down to the long-on boundary for that. Another easy single options opening up for Dimuth Karunaratne now.
Flirting a bit with a wider delivery. But look at the speeds that Roston Chase is bowling at. Now I think he understands the importance of looking to bowl with a bit of loop. And the rotation of the seam, you could see it's a typical off-spinner seam. The rotation is towards the backward point. Bowled. He's asking for a stumping. The wicketkeeper's pretty confident. Palya Gurugek has gone upstairs, but that was a good delivery.
TV umpire to director, we have umpire referral for a stumping. It's a fair delivery. First I need to check the front on spin vision, please.
Stand by. And roll yellow.
Show me one more time, please.
Ultra edge.
Oh, give me the ultra edge to check whether any bet involved there, please.
And roll hog 3.
Keep it rolling through. Keep it rolling through. Keep it rolling through. Yes, satisfied. No bet involved. Give me the best side on angle to check the stumping, please.
Okay. Stand by hog 1 and roll hog 1.
Can you zoom up this angle, please? Can you zoom up?
Already zoomed up.
Give me the opposite angle also, please.
Stand by hop 2 and roll hop 2. I'll zoom it up even further.
Okay, thank
hop
you.
1. Stand by hop 1 and go hop 1.
Can I have the stump cam also? Stump cam.
It won't help you, but here goes. Stand by black, roll black. Happy?
Give me the first angle, please. First one again.
Stand by hop. I'll give you hop 2 first and then hop 1. Hop
Thank you.
2 and go hop 2. And I'll give you hop 1 now and go hop 1. I'll give you a split of the 2 as well.
Okay, thank you.
Stand by hop 3 and go hop 3. Oh yeah. Dimut! Dimut! Happy? Dimut!
Yes, I am satisfied. No part of the any part of the boot behind the bobbing trees. Yes, my decision to the giant screen is up.
Well, what a moment! What a moment! Been stumped for the 5th time in his career. Dimut Karunaratne was completely deceived by a clever delivery. We spoke about Roston Chase, the off-spinner, his release, his loop. But Karunaratne goes for 147, 296 for 5.
Are we talking here?
White boy? No.
So Dimut Karunaratne being cheered on off the field by his teammates, and it is time for drinks with Sri Lanka on 296 for 5.
Catch us, Bonner. Catch us yourself. Catch us yourself. Greg,拿住我帮手。
Good first hour of day 2 for the West Indies. They've removed the overnight pair. Rather unusual circumstances, you'll have to say. Dhananjaya De Silva knocking down the bails as he was attempting to prevent the ball from going onto the stumps of Shannon Gabriel, and then Karunaratne, the captain, just on the stroke of the first hour, ruled stumped, and this is how it happened. A third wicket for Roston Chase, 2 on the line after lengthy deliberations. Good work by Joshua De Silva, who was insistent that he timed it right, and after exhaustive examinations of those replays, he was ruled to have been dismissed. Disappointment for Karunaratne, but encouragement for the West Indies in picking up a second wicket of the morning via Roston Chase. Played well, Karunaratne, with his 4th century of the year in Test match cricket. That brings in a new batsman in Ramesh Mendis, one of the bowling options available to Sri Lanka as well, who you expect will be used quite a bit when the West Indies start their innings. Amir Sohail, good to see you.
Yeah, it's been much more disciplined performance from the West Indian bowlers as opposed to yesterday, where they tried too many things, looked completely out of sorts, gathered their thoughts, and have prevailed. Picked up 2 wickets, an offset batsman, and of a successful over. It's 296 for 5. Looks good, this, for the West Indian fans. 2 early wickets, removed the danger man Karunaratne, who was looking so good.
And you look at those impressive numbers of his innings. Look at the number of deliveries faced, 300 balls. It might go against the grain of contemporary international cricket about strike rates and all of that. But when you come to good old-fashioned traditional Test match cricket, this is what you want from your opening batsman.
And that's where West Indian batsmen have lacked of late. You know, there is value for staying at the crease, occupying the crease, and play for your side. And that's where Sri Lankan captain is making the difference. Whenever he gets a start, he makes sure he goes big.
Please don't remind me of that, Amir. I saw you got 160 twice, 1997 in Pakistan in Rawalpindi, and then again in Karachi. Just couldn't get you out.
Well, I was lucky. Yeah, that was a dream, to score 100 against West Indies in a Test match cricket. And let me tell you, in those times, you really had to work hard for your runs. Ambrose, Courtney Walsh, Bishop, there were so many. But these 2 guys, Holder and Gabriel, been impressive. They're bold within themselves. They didn't get that support they required, and also on a surface like this.
Interesting that you bring up that encounter with those fast bowlers, because it's an interesting point about playing to your strengths, because whatever the conditions, if you you've got world-class performers, they should be able to deliver more often than not. And I also take the point about horses for courses. If you've got conditions that will favor a certain type of bowling, you might want to lean in that direction. But if you've got quality fast bowlers, whatever the conditions, you back them to a certain degree.
You have to. And remember those times, no matter what sort of conditions West Indies was faced with, they made sure they played their frontline fast bowlers and they were successful. They knew how to bowl on different surfaces. And that tradition wasn't followed, and that's painful. Saying West Indies cricket struggling this much. And when you say horses for courses, I don't agree with that. If somebody is good enough to play in test matches, he can deal with T20 format or the ODI cricket. That was the norm, wasn't it?
Of course, that raises the discussion that is very relevant to West Indies cricket, because right now Jason Holder and Roston Chase are the only ones coming out of the World T20. You see so much more happening with other teams where their players play all formats.
Yeah, there is a room for one or two players in different formats. But you can't have 8 different players in different formats. That actually insults the intelligence. You know, you have to harness the talent and you have to groom the players in a manner that they're suitable for every format. No disrespect to Pollard. He's got a reputation of hitting sixes and all that. But tell me, how many matches he has won for West Indies?
Interesting you make that point, because Kieron Pollard actually started his first-class career with 200s in his first 3 innings. He started his career as a strong first-class cricketer. In fact, his first-class numbers aren't too bad. It's just that he doesn't play first-class cricket anymore. We'll develop the point even further as we move along, but it's the end of the over, 297 for 5.
No. Yeah, come on. 45. Gunner!
Heading out to patrol the shoreline, no doubt, of the southern part of Sri Lanka. Hopefully nothing untoward happens.
Go, Rustin there.
Roston Chase, who has enjoyed a bit of success already. 2 wickets yesterday, 1 today, the important wicket of Karunaratne. And they really thought it out well in getting that wicket.
Although that was a great piece of wicket keeping. Showed game awareness, quick reflexes, resulted in a big wicket for the West Indies side.
Oh, jeez, Ross. Go, Ross.
Yeah, it's all about subtle changes, isn't it?
Working, Ross.
You don't have to variate a lot, and that's what happened there. Drawing the batsman on the front foot. He was consistent with his liner length, and he was rewarded.
Touch, Ross.
And that's where
Touch, Ross.
Roston Chase has to be careful. When a batsman starts to manage the ball off the back foot, as a bowler you have to rethink. Better. This is better. Drawing the batsman forward.
Haven't heard mid-off all day.
And field placing has been good too. And the bowlers are looking to bowl according to the field. That's good to see. A better performance from West Indies.
Was he man of the match, Craig? Is that why he's quiet? So Shay, you telling me you'd have another
We haven't forgotten the point about Kieran Pollard either, which we'll get to eventually. 298 for 5. He can afford to smile. And he's lost a couple of wickets this morning, including himself. But I'm sure Sri Lanka, when you think about it, winning the toss early on day 2, you're almost 300 runs on the board, 5 wickets still in hand. You take that 9 times out of 10, I would think.
It's all about drawing the batsman forward like we suggested. And that's what Rosman Chase did. Getting the batsman off balance. And great work behind the stumps. Joshua De Silva. It was a classical left-hand dismissal, wasn't it? Through an off-spinner. And maneuvering the length on that occasion.
We're making the point about Kieran Pollard. Look at that first-class average. It's not great, you might say, but young Jeremy Salazar was making his Test debut with 23.4. Pollard, 37.7, and as I mentioned, 2 of those 400s came in his first 3 first-class matches for Trinidad and Tobago. But he was identified very early as a power hitter and identified again as a white ball cricketer, even though at one point he really aspired to play Test cricket for the West Indies but never got the chance.
See, in my opinion, the overemphasis on strike rate has changed the mindset of the batters. In our days, average was very important, and now the strike rate. It can go higher if you play 6 balls, able to hit 2 6s. What does it tell you? Could have been a fluke. No disrespect to Kieran Pollard. He's very talented, but they have to differentiate between one thing, which is very important for me. Do you want to play for the gallery or for your side? If you get the right answer, you'll become a responsible batter and you'll see the difference in West Indies cricket. Forget about strike rates. Think about getting healthy averages.
I hear you on that, Amir, but I suppose in the T20 format, we're talking Test cricket here, we're watching Test cricket, but in the T20 format, in the aftermath of the disappointing performances of the West Indies in the World T20, there was all that preoccupation with 6 hitting. When you saw other players, in fact, Rosman Chase got his place in the team because he was able to accumulate. But I suppose the imperative would be that 20 overs per side, strike rates become so important. Not that you've got to hit every ball for 4 or 6, but it's such an imperative to keep on scoring and scoring quickly.
Yeah, I'm with you. But the importance of singles, you can't take away even in T20 format. If as a batsman you play 40 deliveries, if you're able to score 25 singles, 4 4s and 2 6s, what's the strike rate? You've got to be intelligent. You should know how to manage your innings, even in T20 format. How many 6 hitters you saw prevailing in the last World Cup? Not many. So the thinking has to be changed. Another thing, the bowlers have deciphered how to bowl in T20 format. It's 299 for 5.
Jason Holder, as per usual. We saw that yesterday, right on line, right on target, not giving anything away, a bit of awkward bounce.
But I said that to Matthews too. Which one really is? Oh, okay.
For his namesake, Holder has done remarkably well with this holding job. He's tried up the runs, had the batsman on the leash. That has allowed Ruston Chase to bowl with a bigger heart.
One more. Easy one.
And just to reinforce the point about Jason Holder's accuracy, 114 balls bowled, 101 of them scoreless, dot balls. And that continues to be his forte. Just 6 runs conceded of 61 deliveries to the right-handers.
It's been impressive, there is no doubt about that. The only one thing I would like to see him doing is use those short deliveries, surprise the batsman. For a bowler, it's very important not to become predictable.
Interesting. I wonder what that discussion is going on there. Is Jaden Seal saying, for example, well, I'm glad I'm not playing on this rather flat pitch? Or maybe it might be the exact opposite. I wish I was out there, charging in. He's a young man, a lot of energy, showed quite a bit of promise against South Africa, against Pakistan. 5-wicket haul against Pakistan in the first test match in Jamaica. Give him the opportunity. Really impressed in the Under-19 World Cup in South Africa in 2020. West Indies were undone by New Zealand in the knockout stage when they had New Zealand on the ropes, dropped a few catches. 300 for 5. Checking again to see if it's another no ball situation that is going to require an additional delivery. Let's see what happens. Yet another no ball, which means another delivery. You've seen 3 no balls from Jamel Warrican, 4 from Shannon Gabriel, and now 1 from Ruston Chase.
How's a no ball?
Trying to understand why this would have been called a no ball. Okay, so it's a legal delivery. We've cleared that up. It's the end of the over.
Well, you see where you going from? Yeah.
Yeah, 300 runs registered on the board. Sri Lanka would be hoping for a big effort from Chandimal.
Once it clouds,
He's got the experience.
once it clouds over the sun, I hear.
He can decipher the situation quite quickly. He showed promise, Warrican, hasn't he? Not only he can turn the ball, can extract some bounce as well. The only thing he's been guilty
All
of
game, Craigie.
yesterday, he tried too many things.
All day, all day.
Too many arm balls.
That nice to head up.
Didn't bowl according to the field. And that's why he was taken for plenty of runs. Didn't create any impact. Has to redeem himself.
Oh, yes,
Better.
war killer.
Good start.
For a lot of spinners coming out of the West Indies, it's about that legacy of the fast bowlers that we just talked about, where they're almost always seen as just filling in the gaps from the fast bowlers. But they've got to believe in themselves. You've got to have that confidence. And so often we find that with a lot of these bowlers, and Jomel Warrican has had his opportunities, he's been around at test level, in and out for about 6 years now. You've got to back yourself as a bowler. You've got to believe in yourself.
And if you want to meet success, one thing is very important, and that's the key for a spinner. Patience. Should be desperate for wickets. Was in the air. Races over the boundary line for 4 runs. See, that's the problem. After bowling 2 good deliveries, here was a long hop. That's where he has to improve upon.
And especially for a finger spinner, you really want to be right on spot all the time. You could understand with a wrist spinner, it's a different tactic, different type of bowling, much more challenging. For a finger spinner, you want to be online all the time, not serving up a rank long hop in your 4th delivery. Just relieves the pressure.
Working, war.
Got a slip and a silly point. That short mid wicket in place. And we saw it yesterday from very early on. He was getting bounce and turn, beating the forward push, even towards the end of the day of Dhananjaya De Silva. But it's about consistency. Don't give away the 4 ball.
Yes, war.
And bowling with the right pace. A left armour. Hence the over. Dot delivery, it's 3 or 4 for 5.
Strike bowler Shannon Gabriel and spinner Ruston Chase with the wickets. 8 bowlers used by Craig Brathwaite, including himself, 3 overs towards the end of day 1. The West Indies really need to sustain the effort here. Him with Karunaratne talked about getting up towards 400 on a pitch where they suspect, and we've seen the evidence, that there's enough in it for the bowlers that they'll get some encouragement.
Just stay on the line, ball.
Another bright, clear day on this Monday here in Galle, southern Sri Lanka. Just that bit too short again. Joshua De Silva there behind the stumps with that stumping of Karunaratne. Just the 3rd stumping that he's affected in all first-class cricket. Had one in his debut 2018
Working, Ross.
and one against South Africa a few months ago.
And that explains everything, doesn't it? That's where the spinners have to raise their game.
As we talk about those few stumpings, I'm thinking about Jeffrey Dujon, who you would have played against so many times. How many stumpings would he have got when you're standing back to all those great fast bowlers? He did get a couple of Roger Harper, who's now the head of the West Indies selectors, but there wouldn't have been too many opportunities.
Come in a little.
What a wicketkeeper batsman he was. Was flexible. The dexterity was there. Oh, he was magnificent behind the stumps.
5 stumpings in Test match cricket for Jeffrey Dujon, 79 Test matches, and never lost a Test series as a player. From 1981-82 until his career came to an end in 1991. And some great battles were fought against Pakistan, of course, in that period.
Yeah, some great stories. Of Pakistan and West Indies encounters. In those days, Pakistan really gave them run for their money. End of the over, 305 for 5.
Good session for the West Indies so far, unlike what happened yesterday when they were wicketless in the first session. It was even worse for them, conceding over 100 runs in the second. The third, they picked up a couple of important wickets, but also conceded over 100 runs. Beautiful vistas provided by our drone camera.
Don't mind that. That's what he should do more often. This is the line he should be looking to bowl. Where he has the batsman in two minds whether to play on the front foot or the back foot.
Throw it back, you know. Don't be afraid.
Hopefully he's not going to use that arm delivery after bowling these couple of good deliveries.
Oh yes, War Killer. Work in, War. You work in, War.
You call it, Amir.
Keep going, boys. Come on, there, fellas. Work it, there, boys. Work in, War. Work it with him, man. Come on, War. Well done, Dapper. Keep moving.
It's very calm, very idyllic, this presentation, and that's why this is considered such a beautiful ground. So many times it's not just about the venue itself, but it's about the backdrop. In this case, it's the Dutch fort, which dominates the southern part of the ground. And you've got that little bit of peninsula jutting away with the old part of Gaul, the historic part with that Dutch colonial influence, the Portuguese influence, the English influence. We'll earn him a boundary. And the over, 310 for 5.
Quick man, the way you did. Yeah. The way you did. Oh. 5 feet in front.
310 for 5. The ideal situation for the West Indies with about half an hour to go for lunch. They've got Chandimal and a new batsman. Both overnight batsmen gone. So they're looking to try and make some inroads into the Sri Lankan batting. So it's important that this partnership carries on. Sri Lanka's visions were on a 400 plus, 450 plus score, but I wonder whether those targets have been changed. Ruston Chase, he's been impressive with his off spin. This is Dinesh Chandimal. Such an important innings for him. Just paddling it virtually off his leg stump. And getting it very fine. Yeah, 2 short legs and a slip. The perfect line to bowl to the right hander, just outside the off stump. Find some spin, find an inside edge, and if you can get one that slides on, then look for the outside edge. Quick single. It's still a very good morning here in Galle. Good morning, Maha.
Morning to you, Roshan. And what a beautiful shot. The Galle area. See Ruston Chase. Picked up 3 wickets, bowled very well. Out-bowled the main off-spin, I should say. And also, whenever he tosses the ball up, looks much more dangerous. You see Dinesh Chandimal, very important inning, keeping the wickets after January 2017. Very nice to bowl again. 5 fielders, silly me down, 6 fielders in the leg side. Deep square leg and a long on covering the boundary area. You have a short mid on, short mid wicket and a short fine leg. Trying to save the single over. Use the fate. Beautiful shot by Dinesh Chandimal to the pitch of the ball, and then rest of it. Very good shot to finish the over. Sri Lanka 315 for 5.
Yeah.
Chandimal finishing off with a absolutely magnificent cover drive, just getting to the pitch of the ball and driving it. He's 24, just covering whatever spin. So important innings for him. Spoken about the number of times that he's had to make comebacks. Take a look at it. To the pitch of the ball, never really allowed it to spin off the track. And what he did so well was just open the face, maneuvered it through extra cover, because the plan was exactly that. Try and hit against the turn. And what Chandimal did well was he didn't let the ball turn. Got close and played that shot. Short leg and a slip. Just a touch shot from the left arm spinner.
Maybe shot by Dinesh Chandimal, never let it turn, as well as the front arm, the front shoulder going towards the ball. That's a magnificent shot. Not easy against the spin, especially because Ruston Chase has been bowling really well, getting that bounce, as you mentioned, Roshan. Never let it spin. Was there quickly as possible. That's a hallmark of Chandimal when he's in form, using the feet against spin. Wicket stop by Warrican.
Welcome back once.
Well, support by Ramesh Men. He's batting at number 7. New responsibility to the young man.
Welcome back once. Welcome back.
The spinners seem to be bowling well here. The speeds are right. They're not trying to fire the ball in. They're looking for some loop. Searching for turn off the track. Hasn't really found too much. But that was fired in. That was close to 90 Ks. But slower you bowl, as we did show a little while ago, you do get a lot of purchase off the track. So the spinners are looking to mix it up a bit. They're pushing mid-off back. Mid-on saving 1. Yeah, he's targeting. The good thing that Warrican has done is look to bowl straight. And because the odd ball has turned off the straight, it's spun off the straight. So that's what he's hoping for, looking for the outside edge. It's a maiden. 315 for 5.
Ramesh Mendy supporting Dinesh Chandimal, who's on 24. Run rate of 2.89 to start the day, was just hovering around something close to 3. Retaining job done very well by the West Indies this morning.
The drone has been busy. It's been moving around. It's been over the city of Gaul. It's been over the ramparts, over the fort as well, providing us some magnificent shots. Roston chase.
Working, Ross.
I like the line he's bowling. He's looking to bowl that off-stump line, looking to search for some spin from around the off-stump. He's having a short leg. He did have a leg slip. Now the leg slip's gone across to a short square leg. That's to try and prevent that lap or the sweep. But the thinking is right. He's looking to spin it back from outside the off-stump. That's the reason why he's got extra cover open. So inviting Ramesh Mendes to try and play the drive against the turn if there is any. Just a touch short. He would like it a little bit fuller and getting him on the front foot.
The line that Roston Chase is attacking brings the inside edge as well as outside edge into play. In case it doesn't spin, go straight, Rakeem Cornwall. Therefore,
Yes, Ross.
also, right throughout this test match, we've seen a mid-on and a long-on.
Like that a lot, Ross, in here.
Once it's filling in, when we saw when Dimut Karan was batting, Warrican, when he was bowling, there was a mid-on and a long-on. Similarly to entire Sri Lankan batsman, there's always been interesting tactic, I should say. Especially, I've not seen this before in any other test matches. Done their homework for some reason and having a mid-on and a long-on.
The pitch is now gradually turning out to be the Gaul pitch. Now that's a poor delivery. That is a poor delivery. He was building up so much of pressure with those dot balls, and then the giveaway, a friendly full toss. And Ramesh Mendes didn't need a second invitation.
One more, Ross.
Well, I think he tried a drift and got it wrong. And eventually ended up as a choosy full toss.
I tried to fire it in. Ramesh Mendes not trying to hit too hard. Placement was key. Exactly what he did as well. There's no chance for the field at mid-off. Shannon Gabriel. Roston Chase into his 23rd over. Top 3 wickets. Pulled very well. Pace and the Jyle as he's been bowling. It's much better. And Zio with the dot ball. Sri Lanka 320 for 5.
About 20 minutes to go for lunch. 320 for 5. So far 53 runs and 2 wickets in the session. The West Indies will be pleased. So the left arm spinner continues. He's got a leg slip. And he's got a slip now. Well, let me try and get into your thinking cap, or get into your mind. Why are they having a leg slip against an orthodox left arm spinner? Well, he doesn't really slide the ball in. He tends to bowl the orthodox leg break. A slip, I understand. Would you like to talk about it?
Stepping out, quick single there. Very good batting by Dinesh Chandimal. All I could think is previous over, it's a paddle sweep. Went for a boundary, and Dinesh Chandimal is quite strong. with the paddle sweep, or the little mind games that the captains like to play. Settle batsmen with big names. That's the only reason tactically I can't see anywhere why you have a leg slip to a left arm spinner, to right hander, to Ramesh Mendis. The short leg slip goes to a Silimidov, more orthodox, having the mid-on mid-off field as well, saving the single, inviting Ramesh Mendis to go over the top.
It's a better field for the left arm spinner. It's more the field a left arm spinner would want to bowl to, with a slip and a silly point. Short backward square, mid-off, mid-on saving one, though mid-off is now being pushed back a little bit. Man on the drive at short extra cover. Like the speed variations too. The previous one was quicker, this one was bowled slower. But he hasn't really spun it much from that end. Or turn, I must say. Now, that could be Maha, because he's looking to fire the ball in. He's not really looping it. Now the difference between Roston Chase and him, Roston Chase bowls with a bit of energy and bowls it into the air and bowls with a nice loop. But Warrican tends to bowl it flatter. 321 for 5.
Eight bowlers used for West Indies. Warrican, been partnered by Rakim Cornwall, coming with the tag from press box end. Also, Chase been given a break. You were speaking about Warrican, Roshan. Main reason what I see is the right hand is just trying to fire in stumps to stump, trying to hit the front pad and odd delivery to spin away. Whereas Roston Chase is someone who works with the pace, works with the loop, likes to give it a bit of air, with the height factor as well. Premeditated, going for a short pedal, and very good anticipation by the slip field. I think it's Jeremy Blackwood. And that's good anticipation, got to be said. We've seen that happen before and seen batsmen being caught out as well. There you go, Blackwood. And Chandimal had another option when the ball wasn't there for the particular stroke to get a single. That's good batting. And also, just talking about finishing on Warrican, something that he got to work on in future. Just not trying to bowl in one speed. Take a look at the two left-arm spinners later off the innings of Sri Lanka will do the same thing. They'll work it out. I'm pretty sure to be more successful in subcontinent, you've got to be able to give it a little slower.
Not in control. Didn't get hold of it, but he'll still get a single. The end Cornwall is bowling is a good end for an off spinner because he can drift the ball. He's got cross breeze. He will drift it away from the right hand and then look to spin it back. And that last delivery, there wasn't a great amount of drift. Another look of what Ramesh Mendis was trying to do. He was looking to drag it, and then it just dropped on him a little bit. And that's the reason why that he was not really able to get everything. Now what the West Indian off-spinner should guard against is that length. He's been bowling it a little bit too short, allowing the batsman to get on the back foot and rotate the strike. He hasn't been able to consistently bowl to one batsman.
Consistency. Oh, very close there. Feel that Silimidon, the half chance. Rare mistake by Dinesh Chandimal. End of the 112th over, Sri Lanka 325 for 5. Nice little partnership built between Chandimal and Mendes. It's got a new responsibility for Ramesh Mendes, batting at number 7.
Now this partnership, 29 runs. It's taken its time, 73 balls. Sri Lanka not in a hurry, so to speak. They'll want to just go through this period, try and bat deep, bat as long as they can. The left-arm spinner should be enjoying this contest, but that's poor. Short and hit away through mid-wicket for 4. With 2 right-handers in, you would expect the left-arm spinner to attack you a little bit more. Try and find some turn off the track, but instead, I think Warrican hasn't really done his bit. That was poor. That was short, fired in, and plenty of gaps on the leg side.
And nicely played. Picked up the length pretty early, Ramesh Mendes. Not trying to hit too hard. And as you mentioned, Warrican trying to fire in again. Settled batsman will pick the length up very soon. That's exactly what Ramesh Mendes did. A new responsibility, batting at number 7. Batting like a batsman is important. You've got a batsman in the other end. Support much as possible. That's very good batting again. Single, boundary followed by single. Ramesh Mendes batting at number 7, as I mentioned. Just to see how he's going to make the next step. That's the last ball of the last over. Very close, Bonner. And slim it on, there's no chance, and that was bounce. There was nowhere near the pad. We saw how Roshan the Fernando got out in the first day yesterday. Something that definitely the spinners of both the teams will enjoy, the bounce which is on offer in this test match.
And also, if you look at that, I got the feeling that the ball stopped a bit on him, and he was on with the shot quickly, and off it took time, it got stuck and bounced a bit. And Chandimal was through with the shot and eventually did well to negotiate the bounce. So that will be a worrying sign if you're a West Indian batsman, because things are starting to happen. But I'm afraid Warrican hasn't really looked to exploit these conditions. He's looked to bowl in just one way. He is just looking to fire the ball in instead of looking for that spin. We haven't really seen him attempting to spin, but he's seems to be rolling the ball, is it? I don't know. But he hasn't really found much of this pitch. Oh, that one did. That one did. And that time it's gone. Well, a really proper delivery from the left arm spinner. The eastern and bounce. And he just couldn't find it. But this time you could see a little bit more energy, a little bit of more turn and bounce. And Ramesh Mendes completely done by that turn and bounce. And an important wicket just before lunch. Out for 13, 331 for 6.
Sri Lanka losing their 6th. Gets the fast bowler Suranga Lakmal to the crease. 67th this match. Average of 11.6. The best score of 42. We should be targeting to give support much as possible to Dinesh Chandimal. A fantastic ball by Warrican to get rid of Ramesh Mendes. Was bounced, took the glove. And very well taken by wicketkeeper Joshua. Look at that, off the glove of the thumb. It shows things are happening already out of this pitch. I'm pretty sure the Sri Lankan spinners are also looking at this, must be licking their lips.
Well, there was more energy, there was more shoulder into that delivery. He was looking to try and really loop it rather than fire it in, and that's the result. You find this pitch responding to such deliveries. That's the importance, and that's why we always talk about knowing bowling in conditions like this. The Sri Lankan spinners Rangan Herath and Dilruwan Pereira, they just thrived, they just enjoyed it, because they knew exactly at what pace to bowl and how to bowl on this pitch, and results speak. And sometimes spinners visiting, they come with massive reputations, but when they come to these parts of the world, they appear to get things wrong, especially with the speed they bowl, possibly the trajectory, the lines. West Indian spinners should be really looking to attack at this stage. Now 2 short legs and a slip, which is good, but important that he gets his line around that off stump. That's what I'm talking about. You could see that he's getting purchase. He certainly had Suranga Lakmal looking to drive through extra cover and beat him.
Paul stroke straight away, going against the spin. Interesting to see what sort of approach now Dinesh Chandimal is going to take, especially after watching from the other end. Strokes played by Suranga Lakmal is important. Runs, psychological effect of 350 to start with. If Sri Lanka can get the 400 mark, that's a huge achievement. And Suranga Lakmal got to play his natural game. We know he's an aggressive player. Should get bogged down from other end. Make Dinesh Chandimal get the bulk of the scoring. But if it's in his arc, he should be going for it.
He's certainly finding some spin off this track, but needs to bowl that line. Obviously the plan is to bowl that off stump line. Goes over the top. 1 bounce for 4. You're talking about Suranga Lakmal's natural game, and that's it as far as he's concerned. In his arc, and when it's there, he's got that long stride out, mid-on in saving 1, and eventually turning out to be pretty effective.
Very effective, going with the spin as well. There you go, Suranga Lakmal. Straight away the mid-on fielder dropping down to long on. Pressure is back on West Indies. Nicely played forward defensively in the over. Sri Lanka 338 for 6. Ramesh Mendes getting a scorcher of a delivery from Warrican. Played well until then. Just giving able support to Dinesh Chandimal. Straight away, Suranga Lakmal showing his intent, going over the top.
.338 for 6. Sri Lanka have lost wickets close to each other on day 2, with Dhananjay De Silva and Dimuth Karunaratne being dismissed, and then Ramesh Mendes. Few minutes to go for lunch. West Indies will be pleased with their morning's work. 71 runs and 3 wickets is a good return for them, considering that they have dismissed top batsmen. Right, now the news coming through about Solozano is that a concussion replacement has been given, a like for like replacement, and that is Shea Hope. So Shea Hope comes into the side for Solozano. It was pretty unfortunate on his debut. This is what happened to him. A short delivery hit with a lot of power, hitting him straight in the grill. And he was taken off the field. He was kept under observation. Thankfully, we've heard that he's stable and he's all right. But as the rules demand, and as the game demands. This man, Shea Hope, has been approved by the match referee Ranjan Marugal for a like-for-like replacement. Sensible, isn't it? It is pretty sensible, because otherwise you'll be struggling with 10 players. And it's no fault of yours. It's something, it's kind of a freak thing that happened.
Oh, no.
Nice ball again by Warwican.
Ball worry.
Or is it them back straight away? The mid-on fielder drop him down. Too long on Jason Holder. Fine game's been played. Mid-off fielder up and long on.
Oh!
Wicket stuff. Warwican just likes to bowl in the same area, which is going to turn away what Ramesh Mendis was done by.
So last ball of the over. That's better. Certainly much better. Warwican is the type of bowler who looks for quick spin, I think. 339 for 6.
Three wickets lost today. Anjali Silva, Ramesh Mendis and Captain Dimut Karna.